You do not have to lay yourself bare in order to sell whatever you're selling. What is it that you are promising to the reader and delivering upon? You always have to deliver upon the promises that you make. Hello, this is Katie from Crafting Ruby Dreams, and welcome back to my channel. I talk about planners, goal setting, writing, publishing, and getting right with my finances. If you find anything in this video useful, please hit that like button so that YouTube knows to recommend it to others. I hope you'll also consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of when future videos are available. Today's topic is content planning for authors. And this is not your publishing plan. It's kind of similar in that you are deciding what content to publish when. This is more specifically in support of building your brand. So what are you publishing to social media? What are you publishing to your website? What are you publishing to your newsletter? What are you doing to build yourself both as a brand and in support of marketing your books? What's the difference between a content plan and a marketing plan? That's a good question. There are a lot of articles out there, and as I read through them and dug through them, there are some fine differences that were not quite clicking for me. I think that they are probably more apparent to somebody who has a background in marketing as a profession. But at base, I kind of think of it as a content plan is maybe a little bit broader than a marketing plan, because a marketing plan can be very specific to the item that you are trying to market and what you are going to be doing specifically for that one particular item. And it can also be toward your brand, whereas maybe a content plan is like, they kind of both encompass bits of the other, which is why it's those fine differences that it's like, eh. What I would do is, if you're interested in the differences, look up articles. I'll link to a few in the description. But just know that they kind of intertwine, and think of content planning, at least for the purposes of this video, as something that encompasses everything about you as an author. So that includes marketing efforts, promotion efforts, and engaging with other people. Related to this, I am also going to recommend that you seek out Zoe York's Marketing for Authors series. I don't think that's necessarily the name of the series. I will link to a playlist up above in a card, as well as below in the description. I would like to start off with, if you are a new author, particularly if you're currently unpublished and you do not have anything where you have a buy link available, focus on making connections with people. Don't think about necessarily marketing. I have to market myself. You are in the nascent stages of your career, so really focus on using your content plan to develop relationships with readers, with reviewers, with other authors, with publishing professionals. Have that be your focus for when developing a content plan. If you are a published author and you have something to sell, you have buy links for it, and especially if you have multiple books, keep in mind that you're going to have different plans for each individual book, as well as a different plan for your brand as a whole. These will all overlap, and so you should think of them as interlocking pieces. But as long as you remember that you do want to have things that are specific to every book, as well as things specific to your brand, that will help you envision and conceptualize what your content plan should look like for yourself. Another thing to think of is, what are your long-term goals for each of your plans? So do you have a book where your long-term goal is to hit a list for it? So you're going to take certain steps and make certain publishing decisions based on that particular goal? Or is your goal to just continuously build your brand recognition for what you are offering as an author? What is it that makes you unique as an author? Having stated goals for every single plan that you do will help you focus in on both who you are targeting with that particular content, as well as what channels you decide to use for specific types of content. Knowing your goals and knowing what you're comfortable with, as well as knowing who your audience is and who your ideal reader is. Those bits of knowledge are going to let you determine what channels are best for you in reaching the readers that are going to respond most positively to your book and or your brand. And when I say channel, I don't mean just social media. Social media can and is a part of this. Some authors, I should say, are not right for social media, and that's fine. If it's not your bag, avoid it. It's like you don't want to do something badly and have it work against you instead of just letting it be empty. You can certainly hire somebody to manage your social media accounts. That could be part of your long-term content plan, in that it's like, okay, these are the channels I'm going to use on social media, but I don't want to do them, so I'm going to hire somebody who is good at them to do them for me. That is perfectly fine. That is a good business decision. But do not feel pressured to include social media into your content plan if you are not comfortable with it at all and you are not inclined to hire someone for it, whether for monetary reasons or just personal, whatever your reasons are. Other avenues that I consider channels are your website, your newsletter, any appearances that you make, whether virtually or in person. If you have a plan for partnering with magazines and other places to get out word of your book and your brand. There are some authors out there who are routine contributors to newspapers for op-ed articles. So recognize that as a particular channel and how are you going to pursue that. The thing to remember about that type of channel is that you are dependent upon somebody else making space for you. Whereas when you're doing something like your website, your newsletter, or social media channels, you are making space for yourself. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. We can always have a conversation in the comments. Once you've thought about what your long-term goals are, who your audience is, I want you to determine what your channels are and list them out. And then figure out what your frequency is going to be for each channel. Because there are some channels that you might want to post to every day or multiple times in a day. Maybe you post to it weekly, maybe you post to it monthly, maybe you post to it less than monthly. Whatever works for you, you want to figure out what your frequency is going to be for that channel, because that is also going to help, again, determine what content you deliver through that channel. And speaking of content, remember that you are always telling stories. No matter what you are doing, you are a storyteller. So you've storytelling in the books that you create, but there is also storytelling in the way that you deliver content to social media and to your newsletter, to websites, to articles, to in-person or virtual events. You are constantly telling a story as a way to convince potential readers that they want to A, connect with you, and B, buy your product. So you don't have to tell all of the stories, but narrowing down as to what types of stories you want to share. Like, do you want to share stories about your personal life beyond writing? Do you want to share stories about your family? Do you want to share stories about your publishing process? I am sharing stories about my experiences as an author and as a planner through this YouTube channel. Some days I'm more successful than others, and that's always going to be the case, but narrowing down the scope of the stories that you're going to tell and creating boundaries around yourself, because you are not obligated to share everything about you. There is absolutely no reason that you need to lay yourself bare in order for somebody to buy your book. Think of a recent example, Elena Ferrante, who is Italian, and as far as I know, very few people know who she is. I do know that somebody tried to uncover her identity, but she has set up layers in order to protect her privacy because that is very important to her. She is not putting herself out there in order to sell her books. She has decided that she's going to let the books stand on their own. Other people, they are not quite as private, but there are still lines in the sand. Like, as an example, when I talk about my family online, I very rarely will name them. It is my nephews, my niecelet, my siblings slash my brothers or my sister or my parents. People know that I have a family, but I do not specifically name them because it is not my place to name them on the internet. That is, there is a layer between us, and all of my hand signals are below the frame of the camera, so you're missing out on that. But sorry, total side note. Determine what boundaries you want to both put in place and enforce for the stories that you tell through whatever channels you choose, because those are what is going to protect both your privacy and your family's privacy. And like I said, you do not have to lay yourself bare in order to sell whatever you're selling, whether it is a book, a short story, a novella, whatever it is. Nobody needs to know all of your business. When it comes to actual selling of product, you need to know what is the problem that you are solving. What is it that you are promising to the reader and delivering upon? You always have to deliver upon the promises that you make. When you're an unpublished author, it's a little hard to make yourself stand out in a crowd because you don't have a book, a short story, or a novella for somebody to buy. What you may want to consider is if you decide to start a newsletter and build a connection list that way, you could be selling that. That is something that you can do, and it never hurts, especially if you are pursuing traditional publishing, to have a newsletter already in place, especially if a deal announcement is going to be made, because a lot of deal announcements get publicized on social media. So when people see those deal announcements, they very often go looking for the author in order to be notified of when the book will actually be available, because very often for traditional publishing, deal announcements come out 2 years before the book's actually going to be available. But if somebody is intrigued by the way the book is described in the deal announcement, they're going to want to know when it's available. For beginning authors, the reader promise that you are most frequently making is going to go something along the lines of this. I'm providing the next emotionally resonant read for readers enjoy time travel romances set at Christmas, just like Alexis Stanton's A Timeless Christmas. What you are trying to do is craft your book or short story or novella as for readers who like these more well-known authors, and tropes. Always include tropes if you can do that are specific to your genre. You are going to really enjoy my book, so please check it out. I have seen in the last 18 to 24 months a lot of authors who are really relying on the use of tropes in their marketing material to help catch the attention of potential readers. And especially in genres like romance, where very often readers are cognizant of the tropes that they like and of the tropes that are in the books and or movies that they strongly prefer, they are going to be paying attention to the tropes that are promised in a particular book. And again, do not promise something that you cannot deliver on, because that is going to break reader trust with you, and they are not going to be kind. Because when you break reader trust, especially in genre fiction, it is really hard to come back from that under your own name. When you have published multiple times and you have built up a bit of a following, the reader promise that you are delivering upon might be along the lines of, I am providing the next insert adjective read for my fans. This is actually going to be part 1 of a series. I'm not quite sure right now when part 2 is going to come out. It will probably be early 2021, but hopefully this gets the juices flowing. And again, check out Zoe York's series for marketing for authors, because it's just, I love picking Zoe's brain when I have the chance to. The concept that I would like to leave you with today is that when you are developing a content plan for yourself, for your brand, and for your books, is to remember that you need to be layered when you are developing that plan and reinforcing certain things across all channels and multiple times within one channel. The reason for this is that concept of people need to see something around 7 times in order for it to stick in their brain. You can do this badly. I was at an event at a library conference where a panel of authors were speaking, and one author got up to the podium and they started off with this marketing profession nugget of repeat 7 times and somebody's going to buy it. And then that person proceeded in the course of their 10 to 15 minutes on the stage, I forget how long it was, but they made a point to say their name at minimum 7 times, and it was annoying. Try to avoid annoying, but do not avoid repetition. Find ways to repeat the information in a way that is maybe fresh. And another thing is, for when you have long-term marketing plans and content plans, you can space out when you repeat things. Do not be afraid of like repeating word for word, copying, pasting, say a tweet. Somebody who I actually think does this extremely well is Rebecca Weatherspoon, and she has a reminder set every day that she has to tweet about one of her books. And so she's got a list of the tropes for each book, she's got a list of the buy links, and she does it in a way that it helps that she has a bit of a backlist, so she is able to spread out when she tweets about a certain book. But she is frequently doing it, and so she is creating consistency within her particular channel of Twitter to expect both tweets about her dog, to expect tweets about wigs that she has recently acquired, and she looks fabulous in every single one. Tweets about the books that she has. And when you have a new release coming up, do not be afraid about broadcasting on a frequent and regular basis that you have a new book coming out. You need to let people know that you have something new coming out, and B, you need to celebrate that accomplishment. It is a huge thing, and congratulations to you. So those are about 8 things that I think you should consider when developing a content plan for yourself as an author. And I'm going to get into more nitty-gritty things as I develop this series, but I wanted to lay these out for you to think of as the new year becomes to roll around. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you have found anything in this video useful, please hit the like button so that YouTube knows to recommend it to others. And I also hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of when new videos are available. If you are watching this video when it comes out, I think in November of 2020, for November, my publishing schedule is going to be roughly 1 video a week. In December, I'm going to be moving to 1 video every other week. That is just due to various holiday plans and dealing with the holidays and my family and other things. So I will be returning to regular, roughly twice a week posting plans sometime in January, but I hope you'll bear with me. And again, please hit the bell to be notified if you are subscribed so that you know when new videos are available. Again, thank you so much for joining me today, and may all your dreams be ruby dreams. Bye-bye.